Also, this is my cup. Do you like this? Oh, you've probably seen it before.
I do like it.
It's nice.
It was a Christmas present when I first started Game of Thrones. This is but like, okay, it was kind of a spoiler because I don't think I actually knew who she was at that point.
Oh, I don't have a mug. Everyone has mugs. Oh, shit.
Oh, I just made coffee.
I'll just pretend.
I like you do have a mug.
I do have a mug.
You usually have one in the morning. Or is that always fake? Is that not a mug in the morning?
What?
Well, when you react to, like, when you do like your Game of Thrones reactions in the mornings, you've always got like a mug.
Oh no, that's real. But then I just leave it there, and it's still there now.
Alex,
I'm so fake.
I don't believe you.
I'm so fake. I'm so fake.
Fake reactions.
I'm
just to get views.
Just for the views. For the views, you know. That's what you have to do. You have to just have a fake cup.
Good
I
mug.
don't even film it in the morning. It's all a lie. It's the middle of the day. I just put a dressing gown on. I'm like, let's do this.
Okay, and we are live. There are people in the chat. If you guys want to go, if you log on to the Facebook on YouTube to see, then you can bring up the chat as well. Everyone,
I've done that, yeah.
Oh, all right. So someone's ahead of the curve. Someone knows what they're doing.
This ain't my first rodeo, boy.
I know you do. Yeah, you do a lot. Like you do a lot of live streams.
We do with a lot of D&D. So it's
of course as well.
It's all live, which is nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
But
is it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Jess, when was the last time that you did a live stream?
Like never.
Like
no.
I feel honoured. Thank you for joining us today.
I don't.
It's not for me.
I don't do that.
So everyone, we should be happy. Give a round of applause. Jessica's joined us today just because she's a bae, and so I feel very privileged. What's on your t-shirt, by the way, Alex?
Well, I don't have a Game of Thrones t-shirt. Okay. Okay. So instead, to honor my house, and my house, and my best girl, I got the t-shirt that says "Good morning, I see the assassins have failed" on it because she was an assassin, and
Okay.
So I had to represent in some way.
Good.
Yeah, that's good. I just changed into this when I realised Jess was wearing hers, so that's why it's really creased, and it is a Targaryen one. But I bought it, and I was like, I bought it for the beginning of season 7 when I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. And then I was supposed to be an extra small. I got an extra large, and so it's like literally down to my kneecaps. So you can never actually see what it is. You can just see the top half, which is. So hello everybody. Hello, good evening. Good hi. All hail King. Thanks. That's so. It's so self-indulgent of me, that title really, isn't it? I do think that sometimes. But anyway, hi everyone. Hello. So today, everyone, we are going to be discussing a couple of things, aren't we, guys? A few bits and bobs.
Wait, what are we? Oh shit!
Yeah, this is live, Alex. It's not just.
No, I'm back.
Run. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about the last episode of season 8 as a whole, and Game of Thrones as a whole life. So thanks for joining. Obviously, we have the wonderful Sesskasays here with us today, all the way from America.
Hello.
And all the way from technically the north to me of England.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. We have the lovely Torchwood Boy as well, who's joining us. We're obviously representing the 3 main. Well, I mean, there's a couple of houses, but we're representing the 3 big houses. Obviously, of course, Lannister, Stark, and Targaryen. So it's interesting because usually on live streams, a lot of people. If I'm doing it on my own, then I'm only getting what the comments have as a feedback, whereas I think it'd be really interesting to have people who genuinely, we all have like, not tunnel vision, but we all have a sort of stance in how we watch.
I also think that like we have different people who gravitate towards our channels because of what house we predominantly. I guarantee you people who watch George's reactions don't like mine.
I don't know about that, but I'm sure there might be one or two.
Maybe a couple. There might be some overlaying.
But yeah, so if we just start off talking, okay, so season 8, episode 6, overall out of 10, what are we rating it? Jess?
Oh my God. I'm gonna be more generous than probably most people because I actually enjoyed it. Spoilers for my reaction. That but it wasn't. I'd give it a 7.
Okay, Alex.
I agree with that analysis. I think a 7. A 7. I enjoyed it. You know, it was good. You know,
it felt more like an epilogue than
yes,
a final episode.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like that, I feel like you enjoy it more.
Yeah. I'd give the first 10-15 minutes a good solid 8, and then the last maybe half hour. No, it was good. No, I know I would probably agree. Like around a 7, maybe reaching into an maybe an 8, just for.
Be honest, George, you hated it.
I didn't hate. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate. I knew that it wasn't going to be. I knew from the beginning of like halfway through, reacting to whatever season 6, or maybe actually no, season 6. I had a little bit of hope at the end. Season 7, season 8, I was thinking, this isn't going to end how I want it to end. But that's the beauty of Game of Thrones, that I was still fairly happy to what happened to the majority of the characters. Obviously not all of them got what I would have liked, but to the ones that lived, I was fair. I thought, okay, that, fair enough. But then I felt like I was sort of just okay. I wasn't like, oh, brilliant. I was just kind of like, great.
Yeah,
that's good.
I can see that.
Because
I wasn't like wowed,
No, I mean, with the Starks they all survived, which was very nice. I think like they were just
not all the Starks.
Well,
this season.
Okay, but
all the Starks survived.
It was like, considering that from the first like couple of seasons, it was like, let's kill all the Starks. To like, I think to be fair, they got it, like they got their own back by saying, no, actually, no, we'll let so many of them survive. But it was weird. I really like Arya going west of Westeros. I like that fitted. And yeah, Sansa being queen as well. And you see, it was all sort of like, if you were to say, I don't know, Alex, you might be able to give me a better explanation from your side, being more of an Arya or House Stark. Like, were you happy, or was it something you'd kind of thought like in your dream sort of ending would be the case?
I think for me, excuse me. I think for me, with the ending, especially for me, it was very much I can't quite believe that this is happening. Like, it felt very nice. It was very good that I was like, yes, my baby girl, yes, Sansa, yes, even Jon to some extent, yes, Ghost, holy crap. But there was also a little bit like, kind of thought not all of them would make it, and I was a bit like, I like it, but it wasn't what I expected, if you know what I mean. It was very much it was very much a, I thought it would be a bloodbath and maybe one of my favorites would make it out alive.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't see it going down with the Starks, especially with them all basically surviving and then going on to basically rule Westeros. It was very much a shock.
Yeah. Definitely. So, okay, Jess, from your perspective then, season, we'd say the ending for you, was there a point in this season or before where you had the idea of what you thought the ending would be? Or did you literally have no idea? Like,
well, I was more cared about, I cared more about like each individual character's journey than I cared about like who was going to be in charge at the end.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, the show was backing a bunch of people that I didn't like, more so than the characters that I did like. And so I personally just wanted, good endings for the characters that I've grown to love. Like, honestly, like somebody like Theon, I think had a wonderful ending.
Yeah.
He had a great way out, and that's what I care about. I was not really caught up because honestly I lost hope after a while that it was going to be the number one person that I wanted or anything like that. So honestly, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised that the show kind of went and kind of like did a little like homage to the Starks. I was okay with it because I feel like it started with the Starks in Winterfell, and I'm okay with it ending. Like I was happy with it for the most part. But yeah, I really wasn't so focused on who was going to be in charge, who was it. I didn't really care. I just wanted good wrap ups for the characters we've loved for so many years, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's however it would have ended, I honestly don't know if it would ever been like the, oh my God, ending, because I just don't think that the Game of Thrones it's got such a big fan base and world, and everyone has so many ideas and theories, which is always really interesting. And sometimes I find myself getting swept away, and they'll be like, oh, this sword looked like this at one angle, which means that Daenerys is the queen, the Night Queen, and you're all just like, oh my God, yes, of course, that's what it means. But then when you watch it, you're like, oh no. But I think I don't know if whatever the ending would be. I honestly, it might be blasphemy, but I don't know if I would I have been like, oh my God, this is great if Daenerys has ended up on the throne at the end. I don't actually know. I feel like I would have gone like, oh, so maybe, it's a difficult one. I don't know if you would have felt the same if, well, I suppose Arya did get sort of like a nice ending in that respect.
I probably got the best ending I could have hoped for with Arya. I legit thought Jack and Hagar was coming back, and just it would have been. I had that throughout my whole head the entire season. Like, I see her doing all this stuff, and then unhappy ending at the very end. That's what I saw. So I was happy with how it ended for her.
Well, then, what about Cersei and Tyrion and from the Lannister side for you, then, Jess?
I mean, the main thing that I wanted this season was for Cersei to have a great ending. And I knew it was going to end with her dying. And it really, if you go into a season knowing that your favorite character is going to die, you can like appreciate it more. I was I was okay with the way that she went out. I do believe that she was absolutely underutilized this season in general.
Yes.
And I know that most people probably maybe don't agree, but I think Lena is their best actor, hands down. 100%. And maybe I also would, Peter is amazing as well. But I just I think that they really could have done a lot with her this season. And so there's a couple of issues I do have with the season as a whole, and that's probably one of them. She really stood around. I mean, nobody can drink wine like Lena, okay? So she nailed it every scene she got. There wasn't too much going on there. So, but I kind of knew that she was going to go. And I didn't hate the fact that Jaime went to her as much as everybody else did. It didn't bug me that much. It wasn't my ideal or what I had pictured in my head. But I wasn't enraged because they kind of always come back to each other. And Jaime did show a lot of randomly kind of reverting back to being not this super noble, heroic person.
And I agree. Again, at first I was like, oh, for God's sake, why did you have to leave, leave Brienne? And everyone was like, no, George, you've got it wrong. He's doing it to protect, and he's going to go and kill Cersei. I was like, oh, okay, great. And that didn't happen. I was like, oh. So I was kind of confused, and I was like, oh, I don't know if this does this really because everyone was always like, character development's gone out the window this season with lots of characters. But then the more, especially because I've been rewatching the series, I picked up and think there's so much stuff where that is his Cersei is his drug, and that is the thing that he goes back to all the time. And even in season 7, Lady Olenna says she'll be the death of you, and she was, that was and it wasn't that he went to go and he didn't want to debut in the end. So the more I've sat and thought about it, the more I thought, you know what? Yeah, that's fair.
At her death, I wanted Jaime to be there. I did want Jaime to be the one to kill her. Kind of going into this season, but I think that those two together had a very memorable relationship. I guess that's the best word to use. Not sweet, like memorable.
Yeah,
unique.
Yeah, unique. Very unique. And I felt like whatever ending of at least her character, they should have been together. And they were. So I can't complain too much. I really was against, I'm sorry, Alex, but I was really against the idea of Arya killing Cersei.
Yeah.
To be fair, so was I.
Legit?
Really? Yeah. Well, I obviously
I love Arya.
No, it's okay. I'll be at your house tomorrow. But no, I was, because I didn't like the idea of I didn't like the idea of Jaime dying, because I was like, all that, all the build up, all his character development. So that went well for me this season. But I was like, I don't want Arya to do it, because then that will not only be the Night King, that will also be Jaime, and then also, and I'd feel a bit like it's not realistic that in such a big war, someone could take out so many major players. Do you know what I mean?
For me, it was more like I felt like so many other people had more cause to do it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely.
I would have been okay with Sansa more than Arya. Not that I think Sansa's coming in wielding a sword coming at Cersei. Like, what a fight that would be.
Cersei v Sansa, just the final battle.
They're, like, slapping each other. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I thought, well, do you know what I would have liked? And I don't know, maybe it was just me. Like, so the whole faceless assassin thing, like, come on, surely, did you want that to be seen in this? I'm sorry, maybe I'm just too much of like a fanboy that I really wanted.
I want a lot of things to be seen in this season.
Like Peter Baelish.
Wasn't what I got. But no, I liked what they. I agree. I think there should be more faceless assassin things. To be honest, but especially when like sneaking to King's Landing and stuff, I thought that was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and I think we got some great scenes out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I think we've made quite a good progression here onto slowly moving on to season 8 as a whole. So we can talk about episode 1. I enjoyed that because I think sometimes it did lay too heavy on the callbacks. I enjoy 1 or 2 callbacks, but they were like, let's have 25, and you were like, okay, let's just calm down. Like, I know it's the last episode, the last season, but for example, the one actually that might have been episode 2. I think that was episode 1 with Jaime and Tyrion when he did the whole I want to die at 8 years old with a belly of wine. That one, I thought that was I just don't know if it was placed well. I just kind of thought they were doing it to have that callback. Like the opening one was amazing. That scene with them all coming in and having the Kings, like the exact same music from Robert. I loved that. But then I just feel like the first couple of episodes they relied on nostalgia too much. I could be wrong. I don't know how you feel about it. Maybe I was just picking up on too many, but
I don't think. Well, I'm okay with some sense of nostalgia. That doesn't normally like bother me too much. I do think that the first 2 episodes were. I really liked the second episode though, because I felt like it was the calm before the storm. We were getting these like moments between characters that, like, there was that scene between Sansa and the Hound that I adored because they had such a strong relationship in season 2. We haven't really nothing past that basically, but it was good to do kind of some callbacks and people seeing each other again and stuff before, the Night King arrives and all of that stuff. But so it didn't really bother me too much. I don't think it didn't, but no. I do think episode 1 could have had a little bit more in it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Something.
But, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I liked the beginning. I liked the very beginning where obviously, you got the kid running through the crowd and like he climbs up on the tree and he's watching. I loved all that. I have to be honest. I really thought the Dany Sansa stuff would go further than it did. I thought that was like the beginning of the build. But
they were giving each other dirty looks.
I know, but I was expecting like the final episode, like something would happen between the two of them or something, but it never did. But still, I really liked that, and I liked. I don't know. I think because I'm someone who like really likes nostalgic parts of an episode, I was kind of like eating them up. So I was kind of like lapping them up a little bit. So I probably didn't notice that as much as you did, Judge. But that's just my own personal. I like stuff like that. So for me, it's like, oh yeah, call back. Oh, I'm taking the. Oh yeah, another. Oh yeah. So I liked it. To be fair, and episode 2 was so heartfelt and beautiful, like with Jaime knighting Brienne and everything. That was pure class. I loved it.
So then after, obviously, episode 2, as you say, it was such a lovely episode just to, like, I know some people are like, oh, it's boring, but again, I really enjoyed it because it was these conversations, it was the, the calm before the storm, whatnot, as you said. But do you feel that any part of it seemed like remissive in the way that after, obviously, we didn't lose as many as we maybe thought we were going to lose in the battle, that those scenes... Maybe. I mean, obviously, they all thought that they were going to die, so I get that. But then I feel like there was so many of these heartfelt scenes between characters that you think, oh my god, this genuinely could be. That when it wasn't, maybe I go back too much and think on things too much. But there was a bit like, oh, well, it was a bit, pointless because they all sort of survived.
I think it was more that the writers wanted to point out all of the relationships and all of these people and stuff like that, because of the fact that they didn't want you to guess who was actually going to go. Because, I mean, everybody knows, like, Melisandre, you get a line about how you're feeling, girl, you're gone. And I love her, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She gives, like, if it has more than 2 lines, you're like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to make it, sweetie. So I think they actually, like, because that's what I really loved about it. At the end of episode 2, I was like, I have no idea who could possibly go next week. They didn't really focus on anybody in particular. They kind of evenly spread it out a bit, I felt. So I think that was more... I do get what you're saying, though, because I think there was a lot of, like, doom and gloom, but a good, decent amount of them survived.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
I think I enjoyed it because, like you say, I remember when I came out of the episode, I was like, I think I'll enjoy this more after I've seen episode 3, because it was one of those where, like, you could look back and enjoy all those moments and be like, so I'm a little bit like you. I'm a little bit like when I came out of episode 3 and I was like, I thought more people would die after that, but it didn't take away anything because I still expected, like, episode 5, like, I expected the bloodbath. I expected, and it was in some ways. So for me, I was like, okay, well, maybe that's just like prepping us up for the rest of the season going forward. But that didn't really take anything away from that episode. I didn't feel like I felt like, oh, I've been cheated. I had to sit around and watch all these people talk for an hour. I was like, no, because it was nice to see Davos. I don't know why, but that scene just sticks in my head where he's like, give me some ale, and he's like, I just love it. I don't know. I just love it. I love that whole thing with the whole circle of them talking.
Yeah, no, it definitely. I honestly, for me, when I was watching it, I was like, when you're trying to think, oh, you've seen these episodes, who do you think might die in the next episode, sort of thing. Like, honestly, top of my list was like Brienne. I was like, as soon as she got knighted, I was like, Brienne's dying. I was like, she's just been knighted. There's no way that, like, her or I didn't think Jaime was going to die because I thought something needs to happen between him and Cersei. Like, they need to have that final confrontation. So when that happened, I was like, I thought genuinely that that she was the one out of all of them that I thought she's definitely going to die. So I was wrong, which was good. What did he say? What was it that the writers kept saying? Averting expectations, was it?
Or something like that, yeah.
And everyone's using it like to hate. I do genuinely think this season got a lot more hate than it necessarily needed to get.
Oh, for sure.
Because especially after watching I don't know if you guys have watched it yet, but the last watch, the documentary, was amazing. And when you see the amount of effort that went into this season, I couldn't give two shits what you think about the writing, because everything else, when you see how long it took to do everything, the writing wasn't at the greatest that it has been. We know that, but you really need to appreciate the acting, the production behind just everything else, because it was still brilliant. And unfortunately, it did get overshadowed by some of the lesser writing, subverting expectations. That was it.
How I feel about it is more that, like, I'm okay with the destination, and I'm okay with like the big choices that they made. Like, I don't really have too many qualms with that. It was just, I just wish that certain things were just executed better. That's it. But I enjoyed this season fine. And I know that that's like a very unpopular opinion, but like, I was okay with it.
Yeah. No, I was too. And again, the ending was fine. I was happy with it. And the journey, there's the whole thing with, I feel like it's the only thing I can comment on, because the only thing that I've got really opinion on, the whole Daenerys thing. Everyone was like, oh, George is going to hate this, blah, blah, blah. Like, they've showed the queen, and she's not mad. She's not this, blah, blah, whatever. She's not evil. And I was like, well, I mean, she's not like the nicest person, don't get me wrong, which and people were like, oh, they've ruined her, and I thought, the way they've gone about it has, but as I say, and I've said it before, I genuinely believe that's where she'll end up in the books, and I do think that's what will happen to her. But again, I think it was just because of the short time. What annoyed me the most was how quick they were trying to make it happen. It wasn't the end. Like, I say, I would have loved her just to sat on the throne, but anyway, that was just piss off.
Oh, I love that she didn't.
I'm glad that she got to touch it. Like, I was like, okay, she touched it.
Okay, so does anybody watching right now, just so you know, you can like very different characters and have very strong opinions either way on a character and still be friends. Me and George are an example of this.
Very different ideas on characters, but at the end of the day, it's a TV show, and
your public service content for the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone, you can be friends with, Arya can be called Game of Arya Stark, but you can still enjoy, I do feel like this season was
I don't have those boundaries. No, don't.
But yeah, so again, I said, sorry, just to reiterate, I just think that people, the journey wasn't great, but I do think, and George R. R. Martin told them how it was going to end.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would have gone too far off his ending. And like he said, the ending's probably going to be the same, but the journey to it will be different.
Right.
How would you have felt though because obviously it came out that they were offered 10 seasons of 10 episodes. Do you think that would have helped the ending, the end point, to have an extra series and a half of episodes to flesh it out?
I would have liked it. I know that people probably, if that happened, they would have complained that there were filler episodes, because that's what people like to complain about and stuff. But I feel like we needed a little bit of time, I think, between Melisandre's death and have an episode dedicated to Daenerys spiraling out of control. The thing that I love so much about Cersei is that we've seen her gradually get crazy. She wasn't a peach to begin with, let's be clear, but she really, with each death of her kid, and we saw it slowly happen.
Yeah.
And I know that they were kind of going for shock factor with burning of King's Landing but I still think that they could have dedicated just 1 hour. And that not be all of that hour, but to kind of just show Daenerys' mental state a little bit better and flesh that out a little bit better, I think.
Because I would have liked, if we had done the 10 seasons, I would have liked season 8 to be a whole season about getting this. I know we've had bits and bobs, but bits of the war against the White Walkers. But I really would have liked an entire season dedicated to really gearing that up. Maybe not even 10 episodes, but a good portion of it to have that. And then the last episode to have been them finishing the war and surviving, and then to have had season 9 as the gear up to the destruction of King's Landing, and having, you know, because it was like they just finished the war and it was like half an episode later, like, okay, right, let's go. And it was like, yeah, I get I get Daenerys wants to do that, but I do think that there should have been a bit more plan. So season 9 could have been a bit boring, but I feel like we could have had some. It's not boring because Game of Thrones to me, as I'm watching these old series episodes, scenes between having Tyrion and, you know, Cersei in one room talking, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Having two characters in a room talking is honestly so much more exciting than a dragon burning into all of King's Landing. I'm sorry, it is. And I would have loved to have a slower season where we had really got those character discussions after them trying to get over the deaths of those from the first war, and them trying to live on with what's going to happen next, with the last episode being Daenerys doing all that and getting the throne. And maybe it's just me, but I would have loved an entire season, the last season, to have been a season of Daenerys on the throne and how controlled and just like the destruction that she was causing, and how it would have, you know, her reign, and then the last episode being it ending and the throne being destroyed, just to give it a bit more context. Because I feel like I watched season 8 on fast forward. Sometimes I felt like I was on fast forward and it was like
devil's advocate with that. Because I agree, I think it would have been really interesting to have seen Daenerys's reign. But do you think if that started a season, it would have been too predictable where it was going? Like, bitch is crazy, we gotta kill her. Right?
Yeah. I do see that, but I think it just might have, I don't know. I think maybe it's for me, it's just I would have liked to have seen what she would have sort of done, or how, if we would have, I would have liked more. I was really hoping if after the Bells episode that obviously after everything that happened, I was like, okay, well, it's fine. We're going to get an explanation as to why she actually did what she did. And I would have been happy with whatever explanation she had to give, but she just didn't give any. And it was just like, have you seen the people out there? Children, little children. And then it was like, but we didn't, she didn't say why. She didn't say, and I would have just liked to have an explanation to just have closure on that. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just like, she did it and you're like, everyone's like, oh my God, she's gone mad. And then you think, okay, but maybe in the next episode, we'll see why she did it. And then it never really transpired as to why she did it. It just,
right.
I don't know.
For me, I think, while I agree about like having the 10 seasons and everything, I would have loved a whole season dedicated to like just knowing more about the Night King and all of that. I feel like it was this enemy, this huge force, and then we never got any payoff from what it was. What did we just fight? What did we just face? You know, and learning about that.
I agree, but do you think maybe it's what they didn't do it in a sense that, I don't know, maybe George R. R. Martin is said to them, look, you don't have to give too much away, because obviously this Blood Moon series will be coming out in 2 years. The prequel, which will be the discussion of, which is thankfully being written by George R. R. Martin, so thank you everyone. But you know that might be able to give us that bit more explanation than, because again, as we've said, you know, there was only so many short episodes in the lead up to this that I think that they may have not been able to do it justice as to, I don't know, maybe.
I agree, but I'm also like, as some people won't watch that. Do you know what I mean? Like there will be some people who won't watch that, and I feel like they earn the right to know what it was without having to jump on a new series. Do you know what I know? That sounds a bit like, oh, I don't want to watch this series, but I just feel like we should have had at least some explanation. I don't know. Maybe just me. I don't know.
So I actually quite liked episode 3. I know a lot of people had problems with it. The only thing that really bugged me a lot about episode 3 was the fact that all of those like actual White Walkers with the Night King did nothing. I wanted to see Jaime fight a White Walker. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just, I know that I get the point. They don't have to. And that there's power in that. I get it. I understand it. But I was kind of like hoping that like Tormund would go ham on some, I don't know, like, I don't know what, but it's like,
no, I
that
agree.
was my issue with that whole thing. But I mean, I don't know. When you guys went into episode 3, did you think the Night King would die, or did you think he would make it out?
Well, yeah, when they announced, like, well, not really announced, but when it was sort of being said that the Battle of Winterfell against the White Walkers was episode 3, I was like, what are the last 3 episodes about then? I was like, I honestly don't understand what. I was like, how can there be 3 more episodes after the battle? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, so I was really intrigued to where that was going, because to me, and I know a lot of people, and I've said it as well, that yeah, it was Game of Thrones, and it was, you know, the whole thing was technically about the throne and these houses, but then, you know, in the last couple of seasons they really pushed this White Walker thing. So yeah, when I was watching the episode, I was thinking, there were parts of me that thought, because again, I am really bad. I start reading like fan theories like in between episodes. I know some people like you. I don't know if you just like completely shut yourself off from the internet. I can't do it. Like I was reading these ones about the Night King isn't going to be there, and he's going to go down to King's Landing and destroy them, and then bring an army back up, so they will kill everyone in Winterfell.
I read that one.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, and then they'll go down, and Cersei, and it'll be great. And so that's what I thought then was going to happen. So I thought, sorry to answer your question because I speak so much. I didn't think he was going to die in that episode. I thought he would die, but not in that episode.
Right.
I had the other idea. I thought they would win. The Night King would win and force the retreat back south. And then episode like 4 and 5 would have basically been them on the road, basically battling, camping, battling. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they're like really depleted. And then when they get to King's Landing, have Cersei finally be like, "Oh shit, I better do something," and then like combined. I know you, but I don't know. I just had that in my head. I don't know why.
Line until the last minute.
I don't think so.
I'm going out. I'm gonna be drunk.
But that was my thought. I thought they'd lose and then they'd be forced back. And I really thought the crypts, like when they were all like, let's go hide in the crypts, I'm like, you really haven't thought this through.
Yeah, I agree. Considering that, you know, Jon was going on about like that literally their death, they can bring people back to life. They did a lot of mistakes that you think, well, obviously I know it was part of the story to get those, but they didn't necessarily pay off, as say like the thing with the crypts, like that would have paid off if shock factor Sansa or Tyrion had died in the crypts, or Gilly and the baby had died in the crypts. So you'd think, oh wow, that's why, but it didn't. So it felt like, or Varys, anyone to die, but they didn't die in that moment. So it's like, oh, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, Alex, you were, but well, you might not have been. Were you happy with who killed the Night King?
Yeah.
I was a little happy.
I screamed a lot. Yes. No, I was very happy. I was very glad I did not have neighbors at that point. I have a neighbor now, and I don't think she would appreciate me at 6 a.m. screaming while jumping up and down in the air. So I was very happy. But I did, and I did it well. So yeah, I was happy. I don't know if you guys were, but I was happy. Well, I say I was happy, and then there was that moment where I was like, wait, because I expected when Jon landed in the field, and he like faced down the Night King, I was like, here we go. I was like getting amped for that. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's kick his ass. And then it just didn't happen. I was like, oh. So I wasn't prepared for it, but I enjoyed it all the same.
What about you, Jess?
I see it both ways. I was kind of happy with it in general because of the fact that I feel like in actual battles, though I've never been in one, it's kind of like whoever can take the shot. Like if Sansa was right there, she'd probably run at him. Like, why not? Like, let's do this. Like, you know, so I like it for that part of it. I completely 100% understand why Jon Snow fans were a little upset, you know, because Also, the other one, I feel like Jon Snow was also slightly underutilized besides the finale in the season, of what his character really stood for. And I know that there's a lot of Jon and Dany shippers and all of that stuff, but I was not the biggest fan of their relationship, and I was not the biggest fan of like how blinded by love he was. And it just felt like that was what they were going with for the whole season for him. And I'm like, he's such a good like warrior. He's such a good, like, there's so much that Jon can do. He has flaws, but so I completely understand why there were, people were kind of upset that they wanted this big showdown, because honestly, what I was saying before about really wanting Jaime to be the one to kill Cersei, if it was anybody else, I would have been pissed. So who am I to judge other people who are mad that, that kill went to, Yeah. So I was okay with it, but I understand why people aren't.
I think going back to what you said about Dany and Jon as well, I think that would have really helped with the 10 episodes thing. Like, we would have had more time to see their relation. It just happened like that. And we would have had more time to see it develop.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I was not the biggest fan of that, because I feel like there was, especially, I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want but I wasn't buying it. That's it.
No,
that's
100%. I wasn't, and I said, well, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't buying anyone with Daenerys. I wasn't buying it when she was sleeping with Daria and Harris. I was like, you don't need any of these people. But anyway, when the whole thing came about, I was like, this just doesn't. It was so rushed in season 7, and everyone was in the comments was like, no, it wasn't. Are you an idiot? Like, it's that's the whole basic. And I'm like, it was never like, yeah, we get that these were two big characters in the show, but it's not like they were getting ravens from each other, like sending like love messages over the 7 seasons. Like, so everyone was like, it was obviously going to happen. How can you say it's rushed? I'm like, their relationship is so rushed, because 1 minute she's like, bend the knee or die, and the next minute she's like, I'm going to bend the knee and suck your dick. So like, you sorry guys if anyone's underage here, but you know what I mean? Like, it went from suddenly. You're right, Alex.
I think, and you guys can tell me if you disagree with this, but I feel like other couples in the show had a lot more chemistry. For me, Grey Worm and Melisandre, though they're very kind of minor characters in a sense, had amazing chemistry. I loved the two of them together. And for me, it just wasn't there for Jon and Dany. I understand that for a lot of people, it was. So I'm probably wrong in that assumption. But I felt like they had these two great characters that were developed so much, and they were like, they're going to get together. And I wish that it would have been fleshed out a little bit more. And I don't know.
Yeah, no.
That's just my opinion on that.
No, I agree. And a lot of people, I see the Night King just written the thing about that is they cut out months of traveling. But don't forget that she said the whole scene, which to me, absolutely, as I was watching it and it ruined it for me when we got to see that flashback of Lyanna and Rhaegar. I was like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then for it to go like, she loved him and he loved her. And I was like, oh my God, it's for me, it absolutely ruined it, because I was like, but they can't love each other, because surely there hasn't been. And if there has, then they did a bad job of explaining it. I know that time has been a bit of a sore subject with Game of Thrones and how people have got to places in the last couple of seasons. But I feel like they only met in episode 3, they first saw each other and so from the 4 episodes, I surely there hasn't been that much time jump. I mean, I don't know much about love because I've never been in a relationship, but I'm pretty sure love takes a bit longer than a couple of, even if it was a couple of months. I mean, I don't know. It does. Maybe I'd love at first sight. Maybe
it can be immediate, but I also think that again, I will say for me, disclaimer for me, the spark wasn't there. Sometimes 2 characters get on screen and you're like, okay, all right, these 2 are like, there is something there. And it just wasn't there for me.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
No, I agree. I don't think I really just think that they could have done with more time, like a season and a half, build it up, get it going.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, months later, and we're it's like, oh, not great, not buying it. But
No.
yeah, there's just I don't know. As an expert in love, obviously, I know they needed a season and a half to be in love, because that's what
amount of time.
That is what happens in real life, and that is what happens in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it just like diminished her death, because it was just like they've not known each other that long. Like, I would have, honestly, to make her death even more, well, I don't know if I would have been able to cope with it. I probably would have just died myself. But if Jorah had lived, and say, I know everyone was like, if Jorah had lived, she wouldn't have gone down this route. But let's say that for some unknown reason, she did go down that route, and we'd had that. I think him killing her in the throne room would have been just amazing, and that would have made sense, because he would have known that, you know, from the beginning he's seen her grow, and that this wasn't her, and that would have been the mercy or whatnot, and I think that would have been nice. But Jon doing it, I kind of felt like they were like, okay, we haven't got much for Jon to do this season, let's have him kill Dany.
Well, I think that was always supposed to be I think that was always supposed to be the end game. Jon killing Dany. Yeah. However, I just think it could have been executed a little bit better getting there. I don't know. I just didn't like the way that like Jon was written so very,
"You're my queen." What, that line? The only one line he had.
Like, I don't know. Like, and like Sansa's over here being like, "Hey, this bitch is kind of crazy," and Jon's like, "No." Stop it. It's fine. And you're like, Jon, come on. Although, okay, to be fair, love Jon. Brave, one of the bravest characters ever. Not the brightest bulb in the closet. So maybe it's true to character. I don't know.
One thing I do want to talk about, because it really annoys me. And disclaimer, sorry, it's similar to Daenerys thing again. Episode 4, the episode where Jon told Sansa and Arya about his heritage, or is alluded to that. Can maybe you can shed some light on it for me? What did Daenerys do to make her not trustworthy to Arya and Sansa, when they're like, we don't trust her? I would just like to know if anybody could tell me what that was, so that I can get on with the rest of my life, please.
Oh, I mean, I can tell you.
Yeah, I'll let you go for this.
I friggin' met her. She solves her problems by burning people. That's why.
But they didn't know that. So she just helped. I mean, all those. She burned all the White Walkers and shit, like, which Jon wasn't going to do, because he was like, I'm going to stay here on Rock. So she was like, no, let's do this shit. But I don't understand. Like, they didn't know anything before then. Like,
I don't think it helped that after the fight, she was like, right, we're going straight to King's Landing. They were like, well, we need rest, and she was like, no. And very much, you know, you get this new presence in like a place where family matters, and you know, she's all like ordering them about, and these two ladies are like, oh, no, that's not how it works here, lady. It's cute. No, I feel like it was very much a clash of personalities more than anything, and it wasn't so much. It wasn't so much that George has left. This is our stream now.
I was getting too warm.
It wasn't so much that that they didn't trust her. I don't think. Well, they obviously didn't trust her, but it was more like Sansa was like, this is my place. You've come into my home.
Also, something that really needs to be said is Sansa and Arya both have really been put through the ringer with just people in general. So they're not going to trust anybody coming up, especially with a dragon that can just burn, you know, people.
And has enthralled their brother.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I wouldn't trust. I live with Ramsay for that long and try to trust people. Like, I mean, Sansa put a lot of trust into a lot of people, and
watching George try and compute this information is just the best thing.
It's like, let me just hang on, let me just hold this second. Okay. Okay. Fine. But I still just okay. Do you know what I am going to talk about? And I'm sorry, Alex. Sorry, not sorry. If
hang
any,
on.
Yeah, you might.
I'm doing this now.
Yeah. I just like I'm gearing myself up for this.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. Okay, so Arya. Okay. Oh God, I feel sick doing this.
Yes.
It's okay for Arya to threaten anybody because it's cool. So let me just when Arya is in the last episode, and they're talking and they're all surrounded, and they're all sitting around, and Arya says to Yara, if you say anything like about my brother, then I'll slit your throat. And everyone's like, yes, Arya, woo! If Daenerys had said, if you say anything about Jon, I'll burn you, everyone would be like, oh my God, she's mad, kill her.
Because burning's so much worse.
It's quicker. You don't feel it.
I'm pretty sure you feel it. I'm pretty sure you feel it, George.
But your entire body is on fire.
How is your land of denial? Is it like nice there, or?
It's lovely. Everything's nice. But come on, sure. If anybody's like, I'm sorry, that's just like, I love Arya. I think she's brilliant. I genuinely do think she's a great character. But I feel like in that moment, like she gets away with being able to kill people, and nobody's saying she's mad
for a very long time.
To what? No, like Daenerys. Okay.
Are you kidding?
Right. Let me just do one more thing.
It was the face. It was the face. He was like.
But what was the other thing? There was something else I was going to say. You've got me all sweaty and stressed now. There was another. Yeah, there was another point when it'll come back to me. There was something else I was going to talk about that annoyed me, where people get free passes, but it's anyway. Never mind. Sorry, guys. I'm going to stop talking about Daenerys.
I think there is a certain sense of hypocrisy with that, and I think it's down to the fact that there's a very, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there's a very clear line in television where you have a badass female character who like goes around fighting people with her fists and kicks ass, and suddenly they're badass. But you get a character like who is basically the head of an organization or a queen or something, and she kills someone, monster. It's like almost people are like, because they put in the work themselves, like they go around like they actually do it themselves. Like, oh my God, that's so badass. I wish I could do it. I mean, you obviously don't wish you could do it, but you know what I mean. Whereas, okay. Whereas when someone's like the head of an organization or the head of like a queen or something, it's very much like, oh, they're using their power to do something like that, and that's wrong.
Okay.
No, go for it. Go.
To defend. I mean,
that's not me attacking anyone. I'm just saying that's how I think sometimes people view it.
I absolutely agree with that sentiment. There's, first of all, almost anybody in the Game of Thrones fandom is a hypocrite at some point or another, because they're like super okay with some characters doing bad stuff, but not like the amount of people who like, because like Jaime's done some bad stuff even after the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Like, he's fine. He's our hero, and stuff like that. Like, me included. Although I know that, like, my favorite character on this show is an absolute bitch. I love her anyway. She's my girl, But I don't know. There might be something to the point George to like maybe explain a little bit to the mentality of some people with that is that like Arya does it herself. And Daenerys is just like Dracarys and okay, yeah, there's another person burnt. So that's my devil's advocate for that.
No, I agree.
But just one more.
Do I get to say my piece on why I don't like Daenerys for a while?
Yeah, no,
okay, I'm going to
100%. Yeah, no, I genuinely would like to hear that. But my final.
This is on your channel. I'm not dealing with the comments. Are you kidding?
My final thing that I just want to talk about in the Daenerys, and I'll stop talking about. Well, I'll try and stop talking about Daenerys this season.
No,
the line with Tyrion. Everywhere
no.
Everywhere she goes, she kills bad people, bad men, and we applaud her for it.
Mm-hmm.
How is that bad? How is her killing bad men bad? How? It just doesn't. She kills bad men.
Okay. The issue is not that she killed the bad men.
You're right there, Alex.
Don't you come for Tyrion? Okay.
I'm just gonna hide. I'll be back.
I think honestly, like I loved that whole scene and that because it's how I've been feeling for so long. I was like, Tyrion, yes, speak your truth because it's my truth. But I feel like the more of the point of that, I absolutely agree with what you're saying because a lot of people kill bad people in this show and you're probably like, what the hell? They don't get, tried for it or whatever.
Arya Walder Frey.
Listen, I was not getting involved.
I think the magnitude of Daenerys's power and everything like that, and the fact that nobody can stop her. She burned a bunch of innocent people alive, and she was trying to talk to Jon about like, oh, my family once upon a time said this, and he's like, bitch, you killed a lot of people. Can you stop? Like, whoa. She's like stroking the throne, like this is a moment, and you're like, no, this isn't a moment, girl. Just stop.
It was a moment though. I say it's that I was watching it and it was so interesting to see the reactions like everyone else. I just love to be fair, Alex's reaction right now is just the best. Alex is sitting here like Jerry Springer and two people are like you're like the but no, so I keep losing count. Yeah, so that scene, the scene where she goes to the throne room, which to me was you can come back in now, Alex. It's all right. Come on, unmute your mic. Welcome back to the stage.
I don't want to.
It's a free space here.
Honestly. It doesn't feel free.
It's free under my reign. So no, but that scene when she goes into the throne room, which visually looked stunning, for me. Anyway, that King's Landing when it was.
I mean, apart from like,
and it's the culmination of her story. I'm not saying that.
No, So I was watching. It was so funny to watch because I was really excited to see everyone's reactions to the last episode, especially those sort of scenes. And I loved how, and I think it might have been Blind Wave actually who said it. And they were watching, and when she touches the throne, and they were like, "I literally feel nothing. Like They were like, I don't feel like good for you or like well done." Whereas I was thinking, I was like, "Oh my god, she's made it!" But it was so interesting to see, which obviously I'm blindsided, but to see other people's reactions and see how they just didn't see. And I'm not one of these people because I know that there's loads of people in my comments who are literally, believe it or not, a lot worse than me in terms of like standing Daenerys's thing. Like they were like, that's obviously when she went mad, that or whatever happened to her, that's not her. I was like, it is. Let's go over it. But that moment when she, for me, it was so interesting to see. Like, I'll be interested when you release your reaction in the future, how you react to that scene. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting how quickly you can just change your mind on a character. And everyone was like, because I think, if she hadn't have gone the way she would, I wonder, Alex, maybe you can, you both can, to say if she hadn't have, let's just, say that she hadn't killed all those people. And she did just like, you know, destroy the Red Keep or gone for Cersei, and avoided that. Do you think you would have had a completely different reaction to her getting to the throne? Either of you?
I don't think George wants to hear from me right now.
No, I do. I'm really interested to hear
How would you take this one?
I think it would have been no, I think that there was a culmination of her story there, and I think that's nice to see, no matter what character you support or what character you don't support. And I honestly think that it would have been nice for her to finally sat on the Iron Throne. I think it would have been like, okay, you did it. You know, you weren't my favorite character, but yes, you did it. Your story is now done. Would it be the ending I would most want? No.
No,
But for that to happen, if she hadn't murdered all those people in the final episode in a gruesome, terrific assault of what is only the demolishing of morals across the entire continent, you know, I feel it would have been. I feel it would have been okay. Would have been okay, and I would have been. I would have been happy with it. I would have been like, okay, yeah, you good job. You know,
yeah.
I might have even clapped a little bit, like my commenters like to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect everyone to be like, "Oh my god, yes, bitch!" Like that was never going to happen in a million years, because I mean, Jon Snow is my Daenerys to Jess. So, and not our relationship. I mean, like you're not a big fan of Daenerys. I honestly just find Jon Snow really, but Kit Harington's amazing, by the way. I did meet him, but which is really awkward because he'd said about my reactions, and I thought if he's seen my reaction where I'm like, "You're a fucking knobhead," then that's really awkward. And also big up to Kit Harington, who did an amazing job throughout this entire series, and hope he's getting better, because obviously he's gone to rehab and that's awful. So nothing against Kit Harington, just the character, the books, anything. I found extremely... But I didn't even know where I was going with that. I just felt like I needed to say that I didn't like Jon Snow. I think it was to say like about people, like if Jon Snow ended up on the throne, like for me, that would have been like, I would have been happy to have anyone else. Yeah, that would have been the worst case scenario, 100%. Like I would have genuinely had anybody else on the throne. But I feel like I may still have thought, do you know what? Okay, like I guess that's where your character was going, as you said, with if Daenerys had done it that way. Sorry, that was a long explanation of what I was trying to say. I don't explain things in half. But then what about you, just then say, how would you have felt if it had played out differently? Obviously, I know you don't really like her anyway, but would you have felt a bit of like, oh, you know, good for you, or you kind of did it sort of thing? Or would it 100%, even if she just walked...
Pissed off if she got on that throne.
If she just walked in there, like walked past everybody, just said to Cersei, would you mind just let me sit down, and Cersei gone, sure. Like, would you have still been... Cersei
wouldn't have let her.
I just would have...
to the ground.
I would have loved to have seen that. Like, say all the dragons die, everyone else is gone, and it's just Cersei and Dany like in the throne room, just like pushing each other against like walls, and that would have been amazing.
Cersei just like uses like one of the cups to smack her over the head with it. She's like,
bottle of wine.
Favorite like moment of the entire season is when Cersei crept away from the house.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, that was everything.
Ever. Like I'm sorry, that stole the show for me. She was like, "Bitch, I'm out."
Honestly, that was so good. That was like one of those.
That was great.
It was such a relatable moment, because I think there's probably been times we've all been in a situation where there's been two people doing something, and you're like, I'm just gonna go and I'll be back in a minute. Like, I think that was like, and it was just in that time where everything was literally falling apart and it was going crazy. I think it really helped just to have that little bit in, just because it was just like, that's real. That's like her going, right, well, excuse me. Like, that was good. Okay, so season 8 as a whole. That was so gone, Jess. Were you gonna say that?
No. I was just gonna say, like, and I know that this is not the popular opinion, and I understand that the Dany fans don't like me too much, but I kind of saw her as a villain a really long time ago. And so, like, what Tyrion said in that cell to Jon, like, I've felt for years. And it's more of the fact that, like, nobody can really stop her. And I think you are correct. And the person that could was probably Jorah. And because even Grey Worm, he's just down for what he's like, tell me who to kill. I'll do it. Like, you know, love him. But I mean, he's very loyal. One of the reasons why I love him. But I think for the longest time, I had a big issue with her wanting, like, I think it was I hate to use this word, but to explain the hypocrisy of the fact that she wanted to be so beloved, but she also, like, did not tolerate people who didn't see things her way, and was rule by love or rule by fear, choose one. And I felt like she, towards the end, I actually really liked that they did that whole scene with her and Jon where she was like, okay, it's fear then.
Let it be fear.
Like, let's do this. And I don't, when she kind of like embraced that, I kind of liked her a lot more, to be honest. And it wasn't this kind of back and forth but I feel like she was already there a while ago. She just got pushed to the edge where she just didn't care anymore.
I'd be interested to know then from both of you. Was there at what point in Game of Thrones as a whole did you, or was it to the end that you thought, yeah, like, she's a villain or she's just not okay? Was there a scene where you were like, yeah, this isn't going to end with her living happily ever after sort of thing?
I mean, when anybody speaks against her and she threatens to burn them alive, it's probably a pretty good indicator. But also, for me, I feel like she really wanted to be loved by for me, the main point is when she freed all of the people and the stuff going on in Marine.
Yeah.
And she didn't really stick around to make sure everything was okay. She did leave Dario, which I guess is good. I don't know. But and because her eye is on that throne. And you can tell she's ambitious. She cares about that throne.
If she was a sim, she would have the ambitious trait, let me tell you.
As much as she said that she cared about the people. That is my opinion.
No, it's a good opinion, Alex.
I think when she burned the Tarleys alive, I was like, oh, I liked that tall guy. How dare you?
Dickon.
You have failed me. No, it was very gradual for me. It really was very gradual for me. And there were moments where I was like, I quite like you. But definitely it was, I think the true villainous moment was definitely the moment where Melisandre was, and she just turned around and you saw her face go from devastation to just almost apathy.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, just like, that's it. Like, I'm not even feeling rage because you're just so fucking done. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to fucking kill you all. That's fine. I can do that.
I do have one point to say about that scene. This is actually, this might, everyone in the comments might attack me and you two might be surprised. But that moment where she walks off, disclaimer, everybody, I love Emilia Clarke to the end of my life, but that face acting was very GCSE drama when she was like, I was like, I would have liked just her to walk away blank.
I don't remember it that well. I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
Literally, obviously, I love it, but like, yeah, if she would have just walked away like that and just had nothing, but she walked away like, and I was like, let's just tone it down because I guess that she was trying to. Poor Amelia had the job of a character that she really loved going from 1 to 0 1 to 0 to 100 in like 2 episodes. So I guess obviously it would have been quite a leap. That's just my one thing about her.
Yeah,
I think if I was Cersei in that scene, I would have taken Drogon fucking down the moment she turned her back, and I'd be like, okay, Trebuchet, fight, the big dragon, right? That they've parked him right there.
There were a couple.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. Why she didn't just kill them all there?
Yeah.
I was.
But who are we to judge anybody? Okay, and it's sort of like closing on season 8 as a whole because
softy guys. She's so sweet.
Cersei, honestly, is one of my favorite characters, 100%. Yeah. I'm watching her. I say watching at the moment. I'm just on series 4 with Lee, and I'm just like, this acting, these scenes that she had are just magnificent. And to see, as you say, how underused she was in this season, like she was used as like a sex baby carrier machine thing. Like it was just like she was there to have that scene with Euron, and then this whole thing about maybe I'm pregnant, maybe I'm not, which again was just
she really wanted them elephants though.
Yeah, exactly, like that elephant scene. But yeah, finishing like closing season 8, how do you all feel about the ending of who was on the throne, or how that bit of the end came about? Were you like, oh my god, this is great, oh my god, I don't know how I feel? Or what was your relation when they were like, we name you?
I was surprised, and it went to like okay, and then it kind of went to like yeah, all right, I can see it. That's pretty much where it's been ever since.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do.
That's fair. Yeah.
What about you, Jess?
I was okay with it. With just the fact that, I mean, there was a decent point of like, you know, when Tyrion said something like he will like father no children, so like his like heirs won't fuck it up even more, or like whatever it is, and stuff like that. I mean, I think that I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had no idea where they were going to go with that scene. And Tyrion takes the lead, of which I've always wanted Tyrion to be the one on the throne. I knew that would never happen because it would be like Lannisters on it the whole show.
Yeah.
That's weird. Game of Thrones, but mostly Lannisters. Like, what? But and then like, there's like a line in my reaction that nobody's seen yet, but I, you know, was like, oh my god, is it going to be Tyrion? And Tyrion's just like, I would be the worst choice. And I was like, all right, you don't shit on my choice that much, Tyrion, honestly. God.
I guess it's not that one then.
Jeez. I was just shocked. I think once I thought about it, I was okay with it, but I was just like, what? That was
yeah.
Reaction.
I was the same. I was sort of like, okay, this I guess that makes sense. I had a few issues.
We all have this sort of like,
I think everyone's reactions, everyone's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Because I do think for me, my go-to if Daenerys wasn't going to go on the throne, which was going to be extremely unlikely, was that Sansa would have got it. And I think maybe if that had happened, I would have been like, oh yeah, of course she got it. So again, it would have been sort of like, because she was the one. Because I remember when in episode 3, when the music started playing, oh my god, I was a wreck when they started playing that music, and Tyrion and Sansa in the crypts, and I started crying. I say, but I never finished the sentence. I say, no, but she's, and I was about to say, no, but she's supposed to be on the throne at the end. Because I genuinely thought that was going to happen. Because in my mind, I was like, Daenerys isn't going to, as much as I want it, there's no way she's going to get the throne. So it's obviously going to be Sansa. So, and I did genuinely think when she's like, I love you, little brother, but I thought she was going to go, but I'm going to be the one to sit on the throne.
I thought so too.
Fuck you.
Yeah, sorry, it's going to be me. But what was your feeling then on that, the whole, the North will remain a state of its own, a kingdom of its own? Like, because I just felt like, well, you're doing this, but it's your brother. Like, there's going to be a Stark on, well, I suppose like on the throne, and surely, like, the Three-Eyed Raven lived like a good couple of 100 years, like, didn't he? The one in the tree, that one, didn't he?
Well, I think for
Or maybe it's just
I liked it because that was Sansa's whole point. He didn't want to kneel to anybody. And Jon's like, hey, we're kneeling over here. And she's like, no, Jon, no, we're not. Like, stop. You were like up north this whole time. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I kind of liked that that's where it went, because that was always kind of her hope.
Yeah.
And that was her goal, I think, to take care of like her own people.
And what about the small council meeting and who was involved there? So like having Bronn as there, did you enjoy that? Do you think that was good, or was that kind of like a fan service like comedy element? I thought it was good. I thought it was funny, but I know some people were like, "Oh, that's just stupid," and blah blah blah. Bobsy. And having Brienne there,
I liked it. I thought it was nice that we got to see almost a little bit of the old Game of Thrones. And I know that sounds silly, but like, you got to see like, the bit of the politics, a bit of the, like going back to like season 2 and season 3 of seeing people deal with such like trivial stuff. And I really liked that. I liked that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think fan service and good are mutually exclusive. I think even, I don't know. That's always an argument I feel like that comes up a lot. Like this was fan service. And I'm like, I don't know, the fans watch it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I didn't mind it. I loved most of the people at that table, so I was down. I was good with it.
And what about Sir Podrick?
Oh.
We'll never know what he did.
We'll never
know.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's why if 10 seasons, we'd have known. We'd have had a whole episode, but we'll never know.
And it's the same with Tyrion's joke. Yeah. Would you have watched another series if they'd said, surprise, we're doing one more season?
Yeah.
And where we're up to now, would you have been like, okay, sure? Because I would have.
Yeah. I would have watched it.
Because I would have loved to have seen how someone with no emotional connection rules over people.
Yeah.
That would have been really interesting to see. I would have liked to have seen how Sansa, I mean, we've sort of seen Sansa's journey, I feel like, came to a good conclusion. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have had to go back and watch. Like, if there was another season, I feel like I could have got through it without having to see. I mean, I know she was a staple character, but having to see the North, because I feel like she's in charge and she's got that down, and that's great. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen how they rebuild the Seven Kingdoms after what happened, where Arya goes, because I know that people were like, "Oh, we're going to get a spin-off," but I know that's kind of been like, I know Alex, you would love that, but I don't know if that would. I don't think it's going to happen, is it? I'm pretty sure.
No, it's not. I had all my hopes, and I was all like, "Yeah, we get to go like Westeros. We're gonna get to Westworld, maybe." Yeah. If Macy Williams shows up in Westworld now, that's it. I'm done. I'm done.
The plot twist. But no, I would have liked to see that and see how, and just get that, as you say, like the old season back. We could have been great to have a season of it just finishing up with having these little final bits.
Yeah.
Because I say it was a bit of an epilogue, that episode, and especially the last, 10 minutes. Because I was actually, when Tyrion came out and suddenly it had been like 2 months or whatever previous, in the future, and everyone was sitting there. I might be the only one, but I thought, oh, they're a democracy. And there is no one on the throne, and they're all like, that's what I generally thought, like most politics. And I thought, oh yeah, because I did think that maybe that was possible. And obviously then it was like, oh no, we need to choose. And but I thought it was very interesting, just to make a slight point about a little correlation between something that Dany and Jon had said and what happened in that scene, where Sam stands up and says, oh, maybe the person could be, chosen by everyone. And everyone's like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. When Jon says to Dany, what about everybody else and what they think's right? And she said, it doesn't matter what they don't get to choose.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty similar, because at first I was like, oh, great, she's broken the wheel. But then I was thinking, no, she hasn't. It's just kind of been remodeled.
Yeah.
Because it's still, obviously you're never going to have that I'm the heir sort of mentality, because it will be chosen. But the idea of having one ruler that's kind of in power is still the same. Because I did think, oh my god, yeah, she's broken the wheel, but she didn't. They got 2 new wheels, which was Bran on his wheelchair. So. But yeah, so overall, season 8, if you're marking it out of all of the seasons, what where does it stand? Out of 10, then. Out of 10 of this. Out of 10.
Thank you.
Sorry. Like, this is going to take 2 hours to tell us.
I think if I were like ranking the seasons, it would probably be like in the middle. I'm trying to think. I think season 4 is my favorite.
Yeah,
I agree.
And there's quite a few really good. It might be middle to lower. Season 7 was my least favorite.
Yeah,
and remains to be.
100%.
So it's not. I don't think it's the highest. Season 8, but I didn't hate it.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Season 4 is my favorite, and season 7 is my least favorite too. And I think it's closer to 7 than it is to 4.
Yeah, but it's
still good. You know, it's not like I think, oh, season 7, what a load of dog shit that was. You know, it's not that. It's just it wasn't as good as like. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it wasn't as good, and
yeah, I think the thing with season 7 for me was that, and maybe it was just by look. I remember that it was me, Hunter, American Mum, Marriott Productions, and we all had discussion before, just after the first episode aired, and we were like, okay, where do we think this season's going to go? And literally everything we said happened.
Yeah.
So we were like, even I was like, a dragon's going to die, the wall's going to fall, Jon and Dany, Littlefinger's going to die, and all these things sort of happened. And it was sort of like, there wasn't many points where I was like shocked.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have that. And because it didn't have, which is fine, but because it didn't have the great writing of two people sitting down and have a conversation either, there was nothing to sort of make up for it in that sense.
I think that was the biggest issue with both season 7 and 8, and that was it just felt a little rushed.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the episodes, and they were offered them.
And I had the vibe that in season 7 they didn't want to kill any of the big names so that they could, market them for season 8. Because I think about the Daenerys and Jaime battle, where literally almost nothing was accomplished. Like Cersei still got her gold.
Yeah.
So, and nobody super. I mean, the Tarleys didn't make it after the fact, and Cersei's forces were slightly weakened, of course, but there wasn't a ton of like repercussions to that battle. I felt anyway. So I felt like there was a little bit of that, which was visually great and amazing, and you're like, your heart beats racing while you're watching it, and you're excited and stuff. But then, like, when you think about it, you're like, what happened? Like, what?
Yeah, I read a good thing. Sorry, I read a good thing today. Actually, it was just on Twitter, and I just saw it. It just said there are some moments in season 7 and in season 8 where a character goes somewhere, and they are irrelevant to the plot.
Yeah,
they are there, and it would have made no difference had they been there or had they not been there. And I was like, yeah, that's actually kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I do agree, and I think season 7 was just, I don't know. It wasn't the worst season. I think I really enjoyed also, as well as season 4. The last couple of episodes of season 6 I thought were brilliant as well. Like the last episode of season 6 was just, I was just constantly like, oh my god, this is like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah. Oh,
and I think that's what we expect from Game of Thrones. Like, I can't believe this is happening, and we just didn't get that in season 7, especially.
Season 7, yeah. Season 8, I can't believe it's happening when she started burning down everyone. I think everyone, even me, was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Oh, no.
Because this is the thing, and I'm sorry, I'm going to discuss this now. Everyone seems to think that in that reaction, maybe I'm watching different reaction to what I was reacting to, but that everyone seemed to think that I was like, yes, let's do it. I wasn't. If you watch it, I'm literally like, oh, we're doing this. Okay. Because I was still really shocked. Like, I wasn't like, oh, yeah. And again, with like the last episode, when she was standing there, visually to me, it was amazing. When she was standing and she was giving that speech, you might not like what she was saying, but so can we just talk about when she walks out and the dragon wing, when those wings go like that behind her, and that was some of the best visuals I've ever seen in my life. But what I'm trying to say is I was never, people liked, and I was talking to Jess about this as well, because she was about this whole, apparently I'm a fascist, and I love watching innocent people burn, and
I've been saying this about you for years, so I'm glad that, we're on the same track now.
Alex, in your comments.
It was me, it was me. Did you not see the name? I'm not hiding, I just write it.
Just under different pseudonyms, like, yeah, you're a fascist. But I just thought, like, I don't know. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out there and say that I wasn't like really made up that she was killing all these people. When she did it, I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna go there, and that's that we're just gonna have to get over it, sort of thing. But I wasn't
to root for the villain. When Cersei blew up the Sept, I was the happiest person on the.
You cheered with Kevin when that happened. You were like, yes.
Excuse me. That was my girl. And well, I won't get into that because people get mad at me, but there were certain people that thought Marjorie was going to be that bitch to take down Cersei. No, sweetie, take a seat. And I felt good about that.
How would you have felt then? Say if, I mean, I don't know how she would have got out because the blast radius of that was fucking far. But say if in the event case she didn't even go to this trial or whatever, how would you think there would be, or what you would like to have seen in season 7 and 8 had Marjorie lived? I suppose though, if Marjorie had lived, Tommen would have lived and Cersei wouldn't be on the throne.
Right. Probably.
So how do you think that would have affected? I mean, I suppose he was quite like not thick, but he was a bit like. So like if they'd said, the White Walkers are coming, he'd be like, take them all, please go. Like, so it might have been a lot easier. But I would like to have seen how Daenerys would have, just like that with her trying to take the throne from this kid, and how Cersei would have been like, you're not taking it from my son. That.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like eventually Cersei would have found a way to kill Marjorie, even if she wasn't there. I believe that. And I know people don't agree with me. I mean, for seasons and there was a lot of joy in that season 6 finale because all season people were telling me about how horrible Cersei was going to die and she was going to finally get hers. And we're all excited and you're going to cry and we're going to laugh at you. So yeah, that's pure joy in that scene for me. To just, but I think Cersei was determined and she would have gotten Marjorie out somehow. I believe it would have happened. It would have been interesting if Tommen was still around though.
I agree. And I always think as well, what if like Joffrey was around? Like if Joffrey had lived.
My lord.
Or the big one that I would have loved to have seen is if Tywin was still alive. If Tywin was alive, none of it would have happened. It just would have, everyone would have died. It would have been great.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex? What do you think about if one of them had, say, Tommen or had lived and been on the throne? Would you have been like, oh?
I didn't like him anyway.
He didn't really have much of a backbone.
No. I don't know. He was so easily manipulated that I feel like Cersei herself would have eventually been like, because she loves her children, she would have held off as much as possible, but she would have eventually been like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something here because this cannot continue. Because
he was so easily manipulated, if Marjorie wasn't there, Cersei would definitely be able to convince him to renounce the throne.
Yeah.
To her.
Yeah, definitely.
Easily.
So I think that probably would have happened.
Yeah. She would have been like, oh, honey, you're so sad because I killed your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So.
And he was.
Yeah.
For the 8 seconds he was alive after that.
Yeah.
The emotional range she showed in that scene was...
Oh, man.
The window had more emotional range.
Oh no, it was. I did love that episode. Okay, well, the Game of Thrones as a whole, then we'll do a quick look on that, and then we can take some questions before we go. But the Game of Thrones as a whole, out of where does it rate for you in terms of TV shows? Is it still Is it still the best show you've ever watched? Is it still one of the best shows you've ever watched? Or did the last couple of seasons make you go? Did it drop it down in terms of where it ranks for you?
It didn't for me. Because people have to understand, even if they didn't really like episode 3, the amount, it was history to have that many characters so spread out over all this time, finally coming together to fight a common enemy over seasons where they haven't ever done it before. There's some landmarks that you can't really fault Game of Thrones for, whether or not you love the way that the season went or not, or it's not that my top favorite show of all time, but it's definitely up there and will always be up there, I think.
What about you, Alex?
I think Game of Thrones, to be honest, is going to be one of the last TV shows where you go into work and everyone's talking about it, and you can go down just to the local supermarket or grocery store, and you can hear people literally discussing it the next day, and it's I don't feel like any show now, with the exception to maybe Netflix shows, but I still think there's quite a divide between the people on Netflix and the people in the normal, who view normal TV. And I feel like there's still enough of that divide that Game of Thrones just kind of breaches all of it. And same with The Walking Dead, especially in previous years when it was so massive. Although I would say it's better now than it's been in years, but that's beside the point. This is not The Walking Dead.
They got their swag back.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. But I think for me, it will always be something I will remember, not just because of what it did as a TV show, but also because I've made so many friends through Game of Thrones, and I think regardless of whether they last or if they don't, you will always have that, and you will always remember that, and you will always cherish the moments you had with such an amazing community. So yeah, I think it's going to be remembered forever, and I love it.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird for me because obviously this entire channel was started on the basis of watching Game of Thrones, so it's it was bittersweet to have it end, because I was like, oh, it's come to an end. It's been, and I would honestly, I do think it's probably because of just the way that, because I did every single episode and it was just it just went crazy. I just feel like it will remain as probably the best show, just because, not because of the show itself, but just because of everything that came with it. Yeah, it really was just I was sat there and I remember watching halfway through season 1 thinking, I've got to do all these episodes now because otherwise I'm gonna look like an absolute dickhead if I don't. And but once you get into it, I was just oh, this is great. And obviously it sounds so cliche, but I say it did change my life, because it's I've done loads of random stuff. I've been on the news talk. Who 2 years ago, who thought I would have been on national television talking about Game of Thrones? I still don't think I've got any right, because I'm still blindsided. So it's not very good when I'm on news. Daenerys. But it, and obviously I met a great amount of people and all the reactions. For me, Game of Thrones has been more about, I'm more excited when I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. It's not, oh my God, I can't wait to put up my reaction, see what people think. Genuinely, I know this sounds sad. It's genuinely oh my God, I cannot wait to see Jess or Alex react to, I can't wait to watch people watch this show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just me, but I'm watching, I'm like, oh my God, in my head, the whole thing with episode 3 and Arya killing the Night King. The amount of comments I got that was who is Alex? Because that point when I thought she was going to die, I was like, oh my God, Alex. And everyone was like, who the fuck's Alex? But in my head, I was just if she dies, Alex is going to be a wreck, and I can't wait. I was still really excited to see it. So it's definitely, and I love like say The Walking Dead and stuff like that. I say, you know, awkward thing, it did dwindle at times, but as I agree, it's really started to come, especially the last season.
I love the last season.
Really like, and sorry to go off, guys, I didn't watch Walking Dead, but Alpha as a character and all that's really brought it back for me. And there's so many shows that I enjoy, but I do think that Game of Thrones, just because, and I agree with you, Alex, the way you said about it being one of the last shows where people just sit there and watch, because the thing with Netflix now, and even like, for example, in the BBC on BBC iPlayer, it's so many shows, we've got so used to having everything now. So they'll be like, you want to watch the whole series? No problem. Like with stuff like Stranger Things, Black Mirror, you can't talk to people because you're 2 episodes behind and 1 episode in front. So you can't have that conversation. Whereas stuff like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, those shows where you do have to wait. Like I sit there and I'm like, I can't believe I've got to wait a week for this episode. But it's great because in between that week, you're having those conversations with people. Everyone's talking about what you think is going to happen. Whereas you don't get that necessarily with Netflix shows because everyone's at a completely different
place,
a different place. So I think it is one of the last shows where people all sit down together to watch it as a whole. And I'll be interested to see if there is anything in the next couple of years in the future that lives up to having the same hype. Because I know Game of Thrones has, you either love it or you're one of those people that the annoying people. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I'm the 1%. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. But those people, like, you're not special because you haven't seen Game of Thrones. Like, get over yourself. But, you know, like, I'd be interested to see, do you think there'll ever be a show that has that much of a, because although I'd say The Walking Dead and like things like that are brilliant, I don't know if they've got that same amount of, I don't know, like the Game of Thrones has. I could be wrong.
There has been shows in the past that I think have, if, in my opinion, if Lost aired when there was more social media around, that would have been crazy. Because Lost was hyped up a lot. I watched that live and everybody was nuts. And it was the same thing. Everybody was like, what does this mean? And what's going to happen next week? And what's going to happen with these characters? But it was a little bit before things got so interactive that I think, and again, I don't know if it would be in the magnitude of Game of Thrones, but there are, like, I think other shows that kind of hit that. I would say probably not for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be anything close to it. But maybe someday.
What about you, Alex?
Do you know one that keeps coming up? And I think it's definitely 100% more England, UK than America. But obviously, I know Jess watches it. I think Doctor Who's quite a big thing, you know, with you know, especially people in the UK and America's growing and growing every day. But that is something you can like go into work and talk about. But there's also that whole like, it's also a bit like, it's for, you know, people will go, it's for kids though, isn't it? And you're like, no, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. But I don't think even that has the magnitude. That has the longevity, but even that doesn't have the magnitude of the spectacle. Because I think the great thing that Game of Thrones did was it had an ending. You know, it wasn't a show that was just doing every season until they were like, okay, we'll call it now. It was like, it had a set ending from the beginning. Whether they've stuck to that or not, I guess we'll find out one day. But either way, it was only ever going to be a limited amount of time. And I think that's something that you don't get with many shows these days.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think, yeah, like the Doctor Who thing's definitely such a, like, is a British sort of staple thing. And obviously, you know, it is all over the world, but like, it's
unique though. No, go ahead. I was just going to say, like,
yeah,
it's not many shows that accomplish what Doctor Who has.
And I think just because it had that when it first came out, obviously in 1963, whatever, and obviously you're getting to see that now, Jess, which is great, by the way. It's fucking, I'm loving the reactions. And that last fucking Susan, I'm sorry, but I know probably, I don't know if anyone here watches Doctor Who, but you need to go and watch Jess's reactions to the classic series because it's just the best, and Torchwood and all this. And it's so great to see, because I don't honestly, I mean, Alex, you might be more in tune because I don't know if you look for it as more as me, but I don't know if there's many reactors that are actually that engrossed that they are going back and watching, you know, these old episodes.
No, I'll be honest. Jess is like, I think the number one right now, and she's no, shut up. I'm going to talk about you for a minute. You know, okay, we're doing the Jess appreciation for
the
start.
Let's do it, guys. This is not just Game of Thrones.
Yeah. The thing for me is that you see so many shows and so many things, and they have such a rich history. And then you'll get the fans who will delve back into that. Like me, I'm very much like the information person, so I'll like look it up on the wiki or something. Like I'm not necessarily going to go back and watch every single episode. I should do, and I will do at some point one day. But then I get lazy, and I'm like, I'd do it another day.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
No, definitely no. No, listen, no.
You're taking, honestly, I'm going to be doing this for years.
Well, I think that's the great thing about you, Jess, is that you put so much effort into everything you do, and seeing you go back, you are truly becoming. You're just okay. I don't have words for Jess, but not only has Game of Thrones, I'm going to bring it back to Game of Thrones as well, like sort of looped me in with all of you guys, and as a community like that. It's also helped loop in lots of people as different communities and lots of people as different friendships. And I just think that's what TV does. It helps people come together, and it provides something to talk about. And honestly, I think meeting you two has been an honor for me. And, you know, you cherish those things, don't you? So
yeah, absolutely. This is the first reactions I ever watched to anything, any reaction of anything, where was Alex's to Game of Thrones.
Really?
Which do not exist anymore, I should point out.
Did they all disappear? I started watching them, and then they
were wiped the fuck off YouTube. Because I was like doing like 40 minutes of video, and they were like,
yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been a long time, and you know, the fact that we've all come together through it, I think that says something, and hopefully that'll last forever.
Yeah, and I do agree. Mine exactly the same. No, actually, just with Alex was Doctor Who, though obviously not Game of Thrones. And it was, and I always remember it was the episode Flatline, because I was like searching for the reaction to the spoiler alert to the end of, I don't know what, I just found it fucking amazing when Missy was like, Clara, my Clara, you have chosen me. And I was like, oh my god, who is she? It's like, oh yeah. Anyway, she still was a good character, but yeah, and I was like, oh my god, I want to watch these reactions. And I remember distinctly the first one that came up was Alex's on his brown leather couch.
Don't watch
that episode.
Don't watch any of them.
Hey,
yeah. Awful. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then and then it was only through like stalking Alex that I ended up I did spoiler alert, and that I ended up like obviously hearing about Jess because he posted on, I've spoken to this before, actually I didn't ever spoke to everyone, but I spoke to you too about the season 1 episode 3 of Doctor Who, which you did, The Unquiet Dead. And he'd posted on Facebook saying, oh, guys, you should check out my friend Jess's reaction. She started watching Doctor Who. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Someone's never seen Doctor Who. And then I started stalking Jess and Alex. And here we are today. Guys, if you stalk people, you can become friends too.
Yeah, that's the moral of this.
But a nice stalker.
Yes.
We're going to be friends, BTS. That's it.
But no, I agree. And I just say, yeah, I think having those, like, the reaction community, I think, gets very overlooked on YouTube as, you know, we've all had that. You're not really content creators because you're taking other people's content and, you know, you're stealing and blah, blah. And all, you know, you get those people are like, you're not Joe Sugg or, you know, whoever the YouTubers are, you know, Shane Dawson, or you're not one of these big, you know, you're not a content creator. But I feel like it doesn't affect me because the amount of community there is behind all the other reactors is just like great, and you don't, because I do think that sometimes you can get flack for being a reactor.
Oh well, I mean for sure, but if you do it enough, I think you just don't care anymore. Yeah. And a lot of people like to think that they're judge, jury, and executioner of YouTube, and what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. And I think I love the reactor community. I think it's based off of analysis of stories that we love and raw emotion.
And it's grown.
That we love. And
yeah, that's grown.
If people don't like it, they don't have to watch it. It's very simple. There's not.
I 100% agree. When you get those,
I don't understand why it's on there. You know what I do? I don't watch it.
Don't watch it. The comments that you get, like saying, yeah, when people are like, "This is stupid. Why would you record yourself watching something? Why are you searching the word reaction?" Like, surely you haven't clicked on this by mistake. Like, you obviously want. So that always confuses me. Sorry, guys. Let's bring it back quickly just to Game of Thrones before we depart.
Yeah.
So let's. One thing I'd like to ask you: your favorite quote from Game of Thrones.
I'm gonna let Jess go first because I know it, but I'm scared it's the same one as hers.
I'm wondering.
I don't know if it.
No.
Shoot, I have two.
Yeah, okay. You can tell as many as you want. We can sit here for 2 hours and just read these scripts.
So the first one would be "I choose violence,"
mm-hmm.
And the second one would be from Tyrion, "I demand a trial by combat."
Yeah.
One of the best delivered lines of the whole show.
What about you then, Alex?
Okay, mine. I thought it would be yours, but no, mine is from Cersei, and it is "In the Game of Thrones, you win or you die."
Mm-hmm. Good one.
I like that one. I really like that one.
There's just so many. One of mine isn't a Daenerys. I've probably got two. One of them, obviously, Daenerys. There's one of them isn't, and it's actually one of my favorite ones is a Cersei quote, and it's "Power is power." Because I just love that.
So quotable.
That line, and you're just like, oh my god, it's so true. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the people will listen to whoever is in charge because they're all sheep, and it doesn't matter like what you know, because whoever's sitting on that throne, regardless of if you like them or not, is that. And I genuinely, my other favorite quote, which is maybe a controversial one, and is actually from season 8, which surprised because actually there was one line that I enjoyed from the writing, which was a Daenerys line, and it was let them see that Daenerys Stormborn made every effort to avoid bloodshed, and Cersei Lannister refused. They should know who to blame when the sky falls down upon them. I was like, fucking yes!
And it did.
And it did, and she warned them. Anyway, but yeah, I think Game of Thrones has so many of those quotes where like people could quote for hours. Yeah. Like you could sit there and like you could do like your favorite quotes from each episode, and a lot of these.
There's also got to be a Tormund one that's pretty high for me because I just
go on.
But I can't think of one, but there's got to be something that Tormund said that was probably my favorite thing, or a grunt. Probably.
What about an Arya one for you? Have you got a favorite?
Yeah, I was just thinking actually. Probably when she kills like all the Freys, and then she's like, "Tell them the North remembers."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Bye!" And she just like walks out. Like, okay, see you later.
That was I actually really like as well. A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home. I was like, yes, I like that. Go and get a good storyline because I was bored of that one. That was, but it's just too many to quote.
There is one last one. Sorry. You will close brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes. And I just did not get it. That was them. Blue eyes? Yeah, great. What's that got to do with anything? I was like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
I have to say, I want to give like a shout out to Melisandre in episode 3 because I fucking loved her. I thought she was great, and I was like, I know that obviously we were really engaged on Theon's character development and how, obviously, which was amazing. But it was only when, again, I've been watching the series again, when you say, like, when you first watching her in series 2, like, fucking bitch, I wish she died. Like, she's controlling everyone. To go from that to have her story come to a conclusion with, obviously, the green eyes, blue eyes.
I like her ending a lot.
I did. I actually was really sad because I was like, when the music was beautiful, and when she went off, and I was like, she served. After all this, she got it wrong, of course, and she did serve her purpose, and that's that. And I didn't click on to when she was like, Beric served his purpose, and now that's that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, has he? Oh, and it honestly didn't click. And then when she said blue eyes, I was like, oh, at first I 100% thought it was her, and I was like, she's going to kill Melisandre. And then when they turned around, you could hear the noise. I was like, oh, of course she's killing White Walkers. I just had no idea that was coming when it was like the Night King.
Yeah.
Did you click onto that?
In my reaction, I say, when she says, oh, Beric served his purpose, I was like, and I just say, like, because of Arya? Because obviously he dies saving Arya. But even with that in my head, where I'm like, okay, I guess Arya is going to be important at some point. Like, I thought it was going to be a few episodes later. Like, Arya was going to do something crazy. And it's like, great, wonderful, right. And then it was like a couple scenes later, I'm like, what? Like, that was quick. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a surprise. Okay, for the last like 10 minutes, does any of the people watching, do you want to ask any questions? Because we've talked a lot, and I can see the chat's been like going like hell. So I'd be interested in if anyone's got any questions. What people are saying? Oh, they're saying their favorite quotes. Oh, did you all get a? Well, you haven't done yours yet, Jess. But does everyone get a? Did you get a message off a comment off the Night King on your last episode?
I did.
You got one, didn't you? What was yours? Can you remember?
No.
Well, okay. But
I'm going to go to YouTube right now and.
Because he wrote mine in the comments there, and now remember George Alexander, King of the Mad Reactions, Crusher of Pillows, Speaker of High Valyrian, Proclaimer of Daenerys' greatness no matter what she was doing. And burn them all, which was true.
Anytime you want to just write yours on your own for me, that can be
while he's looking for it, Madison says, will you all be watching Blood Moon, the rumoured name of the Game of Thrones prequel?
Yeah, why not?
I believe so, yes.
You believe so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
I
wouldn't.
No, I'm really excited to see Naomi Watts. I like Naomi Watts, and she's in it, so I'm interested to see. I loved her in the Impossible. She was great in that.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And what do we say to the God of Reactions? Goodbye.
Oh. He said, the Night King said, Jess, yours is coming when that reaction goes up. I'll be interested to see what Jess's is, actually. What did I quote on Jess's? Basically, when you... Actually, I think I know what yours is, because I think the Night King told me. Yeah, he did. Actually, I know what yours is going to be, so I wouldn't say because it's what I would have done. But you'll find that out. Having HBO casting agents approaching George about playing guitar gear in the prequels. Yes, please. Can we have... I would be so involved in... I think we should all be in an episode of a prequel of Game of Thrones. If you could play any character
I would like to be the person sipping the Starbucks cup in the back.
Just like... What would you, if you could, like, okay, question for me then. If you could have any prequel or Game of Thrones spin-off, what would you like to see? Is there something particular you'd like to see?
I think that's pretty obvious for me. What's West of Westeros? It's got its own title. No, that'd be me, yeah.
What about you, Jess?
I mean, I think I would like to see more about the Night King and White Walkers and stuff like that. But not just them. I think it would be boring if they were just sitting around having tea, you know.
Like, who should we kill next?
I feel like...
Yeah. I'd really like to see, surprise, Aegon's conquest.
Mm-hmm.
I really would like to see that and see how different it was to how Daenerys tried to do it. Either that or, I mean, I feel like we touched on it a bit, but I would like to see Robert's rebellion and that side of thing, because that would be nice. But I feel like we maybe in the books it goes on. I think in the books there's a lot more of it of right. Those flashbacks, so maybe they wouldn't necessarily do that. But yeah, I think something like that or the Doom of Valyria, something Targaryen inspired. What's this one say? Plans. Where has it gone? Future YouTube plans, guys. What are your future YouTube plans? Any you can say, or is it all hush hush?
I'll probably do something at some point soon. Sorry. I'm not a good YouTuber these days. I'm awful, and I strive to improve any day now. Any day it'll happen.
You'll just wake up with 500 videos.
Yeah, that's it. I will get back to 3 a day, but right now it's like 1 every 3. So sorry.
With me, you're lucky if you get 1 every week.
I don't have the energy anymore.
It's exhausting. I'm very excited for my break right now.
Yeah, I need a break.
Yeah, I do a video every day. And
yeah. I just don't know how you do it. I'm like, I've got videos, like I've literally got, say, the Lee Reacts, I've got up to halfway through season 4 and I've just only released season 2, episode 2. And I'm like, and I wish what I should have done really, which I was going to do, but I kind of kept putting it off, was editing them all, like as I recorded them and just having them ready, but I didn't. So I've got like 22 episodes that are all just with footage that I'm like, oh, I've got to edit all of this.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Because
I was like, I'm going to get ahead of the game and record a load of them so I can just like put them out, which I didn't do when I was doing it the first time round. I just kind of was doing it whenever and uploading them. So yeah, that's thing. And then I'm also doing that. I'm playing that Game of Thrones game, which is quite good actually, to see some of the characters. So the Telltale game, you know.
Yeah, I played it.
It's good. I've seen the Walking Dead one, but I'd never played that one. So I'm doing that, and then I'm thinking of maybe reacting to Chernobyl. Because a lot of people have said that's supposed to be good.
And that reminds me. I am going to probably. I say it now. I want to try and do Good Omens this week. So we'll see. It's meant to be really
that's supposed to be good. And Black Mirror as well. Did you do Black Mirror, Alex? Did you do Black Mirror?
I've never seen Black Mirror.
Oh, haven't? Oh no, of course. You should watch it.
I've never seen Lost either.
Okay, let's get on that.
Torchwood Boy reacts to Lost.
Yeah, look,
confirmed.
Oh no, what have I done? But yeah, we'll see.
And you both excited for The Walking Dead to come back in October?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Watching Fear at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then maybe it's a final thing, I'd say, to bring it back to just YouTube, and obviously Game of Thrones is great, but who are some of your favorite reactors?
Sesskasays.
Oh my gosh.
That's not in this chat. Don't you like? Let's not like be awkward and be like, oh.
I didn't say you. I just said Sesskasays. That was it.
Because we're just going to say each other.
Yeah, that's it. I love fandom reactions. I love Blind Wave. I love Liam Carson. I love Steven Simpson. I love a lot of people. And I don't like a lot of people.
Like, super underrated.
Liam Duke, like
weird. I was about to say Liam Duke is underrated.
Like, bitch, you all need to fucking get onto Liam Duke's channel. He's just done a video where he makes a cinnamon fucking roll, and I was all there for it because one of his subscribers bought him a cinnamon. And
he's a legend.
Oh, he's just, his puns are just out of this world.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's so many. I feel like if I start saying some, then I'm gonna feel really bad if I don't say everybody. So
yeah, no, I think out of like underrated, Liam Duke definitely is just like, and thanks to Jess for putting us onto him.
You know.
Yeah,
he's great. They're all good. There's so many these days though that like it
has grown from when we started, like so much. It's insane.
Yeah. I remember when like people had to watch my Game of Thrones videos because there wasn't too many options. You know, they're like, I guess you'll do.
So did you do Game of Thrones reactions before Alex did?
No, he did it first.
Oh, really?
Yep.
He's the OG.
I was old school.
Yeah.
It was me. I think it all started from like, I don't know whether it was Doctor Who that actually started it, like before me, like the Sheet Geeks, Redbeard,
Sheet Geeks, yeah.
in Casson, and then it just sort of grew from there. And I remember Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I jumped in at that, and like it just went crazy. And I think that was very much the case. Like there were not many people who reacted, so they had to watch your stuff. Now they're like, we'll pick quality, not you. Yeah. I'm like, crap.
I tell you, the YouTube algorithm's not in my favor. I don't know if it's because I swear too much or it's just so
sense of it.
Yeah, but there's just so many, and as I say, like it's just grown so much. Like when I was doing it, then I was gonna say I was more in like just in terms of reactions, like Game of Thrones reactions. Obviously, there were you guys as well, but so like Im had started to do it where he was doing it with his friend, and then American Mum started, and Marriott Productions had also, they were only doing it as well. And then that was like, so that was the all sort of that time era. And then in terms of Game of Thrones reactions, sorry, I'm saying, and then it went to like this really high quality version of reactions where like people like Hogwarts Reacts were doing like full on, like, I don't know if you've watched the videos, but they were doing full on like animations during their reactions. And like, I'm sat there like just trying to chop and get 10 minutes in of me sitting there, but they were doing full on like titles. And I was like, this, like, I need to step my game up. And then like people like Jess started doing fucking Doctor Who December and doing a pretty video every single, and I was like, these people just like, I'm just obviously too lazy. I get so many good ideas that I'm going to do, and then like, yeah, and I start doing them, like, these are shit, no one's going to watch these, and then I stop.
I have I want to say like 3 or 4 unaired Doctor Who December videos that were meant to be, but never
saw the light of day. There's a reaction actually that Jess has been promising me for a good probably 3 years now, and that is to Lady Gaga's Super Bowl performance. She likes to dangle it in front of me sometimes and say, yeah, I reacted to it, but she's yet to show me that, and I don't want her to release it to the world. I just want her to go onto Facebook and send me the Google Drive link and let me in. Just that's all I need. If I die, this is literally like if Daenerys died before she's touched the throne. If I die before I see that reaction, I will come back and haunt the hell out of your home. And it won't be like a nice, like, let's sit down and have a cup of tea and talk about how Clash should have got a second season. It's not going to be that. It's going to be like paranormal activity, like dragging you out of your bed down the stairs. So, sorry, I've taken a turn.
Oh my God.
I just want that reaction really bad.
I'm such a violent ghost.
Also, shout out to Jess's movie reactions, which are just the fucking best. And she's been doing Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And I've been living my life watching those reactions. So thanks for doing those, Jess. Are you doing horror movie react? What happened? Were you going to do horror movie reactions, Torch? Was that, or did I make that up? Or did that just not? Was that, yeah, that was one of the things like...
I say it, and it never happens. It's a recurring theme. Don't expect good omens on my channel. Doubtful at best.
You do loads, you say this, but you do loads of videos. Like, every day, there's like 2 up. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You must have a big back catalogue then of videos if you're not doing any, because there's always a video.
I just get up and then I'm like, oh, I should react to this then, and I go sit down. I'm like, okay, I've done it, and then I like edit it, and then it's on, and I'm like, I haven't done anything today.
I think he's like a wizard sometimes. I see like all of these videos come up, and I'm like, what? God,
I agree.
How long does it take you to edit? I can't do that.
I get up at 6 a.m. and then I'm at work for 9, so I have that period. I'm like, go, because after 5 o'clock I'm useless.
I was going to say, do you react when you get home? Or
no, I'm useless at 5 o'clock. I can barely walk through the door. I have to cook my own dinner now, and I can't do that. I'm like, oh, I just order a takeaway because I'm too lazy, and I just lay down for 12 hours.
Wow,
get up and do it again.
Day in the life. Torchwood Boy.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I'm like the YouTube retirement period now. I'm getting ready to just finish and wind down and be done. So I'm living it. I'm enjoying it.
The Night King says that Alex is one of the best at getting videos out early, especially for Game of Thrones.
Yes.
I'm not very good at Game of Thrones. Doctor Who, I'm like physically competitive. Like
you and Liam like are having
Liam and now Simon. He's like trying to go. I'm like, step off. I'm like, there's like, I'm insane, and it's not a good quality. I'll be honest. Not, but I own it. You know.
No, it's good. It's I to be fair, when like especially for Doctor Who, like when it's out, and so once it's finished, I'm literally sitting there like refreshing. Like it's been like I'll be like, okay, it's been 2 minutes, so Alex's reaction will be up in about 30 seconds. Just like
insane.
But it's good. No, it's good. I think Jess, you're like that for Game of Thrones, though, because I wake up usually.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead.
Well,
and it's like
Game of Thrones was not good for me. because I had a lot of issues, losing footage.
Oh yeah,
that was honestly like I cried. I was like,
I was heartbroken when I watched that
because I just know what it would have felt like. So that's why I was just like,
I was so, and like I left the video up, so you guys can go look at me cry about losing footage if you want. But like it was just because it was that episode that everybody was so hyped for, and it was like I literally had like 2 sentences left to say. My camera dies and nothing's there. Like I was literally, if I just like omitted a line about Theon or something in my post-episode thoughts, it would have been fine. So I was pretty upset about that. But yeah, so this season actually didn't go so well for me, just in terms of me getting stuff out and whatever. And I think I really had to like take a moment and just be like, that's life. It happens. Don't, because I really wanted to be on my game for Game of Thrones.
But I will say that's what I love about you.
Very quick. I try to be.
That's what I say. Like I love about you and George. Like you guys talk after you. Like you have like you can like share your feel. Me, I can't do that. I try so hard and I just cannot do it. I'm like, okay, that's 3 minutes of me talking now. I'm so shut up, Alex. Bye. Like it's one of those. I don't have. I wish I could, but I just.
But I think that
badly.
That I don't like. I sit there and I'm like, oh God, I've only spoke for 8 minutes. Like, then I watch like Blind Wave and they're like, here's an hour and a half of us talking. And I'm like, what?
The video I got the strike on was my second, it was 805, of which I talked for like 40 minutes after the reaction. And I'm like, if this isn't fair use, like, and so like when I wrote like an essay of crazy like of why this needs to be reversed and stuff like that, because I'm just like, honestly, like I definitely talked and commented about what was shown, like honestly. So I think yeah, that also like adds to my time a lot, because people will be waiting for a Walking Dead reaction, but they don't realize that after the episode airs, I'm still talking 35 minutes later, and then I have to edit, like, so they have I normally get it out that night or morning, the way you look at it. But
I love that moment when there's always that moment on your reactions, Jess, where you go, okay, and you stop and you go, I have a lot to say about what I've just watched. And I'm like, yes, I want to hear every word.
Yes.
You're like, this might take a while.
Well, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to try to make this brief. 20 minutes later. I'm like,
do you ever Liam Catterson just stopping by before editing to say I love you all?
Aww.
Hi, Liam. We're just talking about you. All good. But yeah, like I wonder. So I was going to ask you, Jess, sorry, do you ever cut down your, like, because I don't, maybe you do, I haven't really seen your post. Is there anything when you react, the post discussion, where you cut it out? Or do you let it just like, are you just like, okay, I'm going to let it roll? And because I've done it before where I've said things and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I actually should, and maybe I'll just take that out.
It is rare. It has happened. Every so often, you like when you just get really into it and you're just talking, there's like, you say one thing that you're like, oh, people are not going to take that in the way that I meant it or whatever. And I don't feel like getting a ton of hate. So I omit it. And I'll make a note. Like I have a notebook next to me. Omit this line from this reaction.
Oh, really?
Make sure it's not in there, because normally I won't even like sit and watch through like my post episode thoughts. I'll just leave them in there at the end and that's it. But every so often I'll make a note, like, whenever you edit this, please take out this random thing that you said that you shouldn't have said.
I'm the same.
It's weird.
Yeah. Stephen's also here. Stephen reacts. He's in a wavy hand. BTS, woo! Madison says, I don't know if you lot have ever watched Broadchurch, but you defo should. Have you watched Alex?
Yes, yeah, I've watched it. I watched it when it came out. Like I watched it. I was just something I watched. Yeah, that's right. That's right, George.
I actually watched it live. So
I was there. I was living. No, it was yeah. Yeah, I loved Broadchurch. It was excellent.
Yeah, no. That I was gonna say, Jess, what do you feel like out of the British shows that you've watched? Like, can you see a difference in like how they're, I don't know, like written or, and the same for you, Alex, as well, with like American shows. Like, is there like a difference with how, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of how I'm trying to explain it.
Like the production, how it's produced,
yeah, like the production,
edited.
all of it. Like, is there a big difference, or is it just like, oh, they've got an American or British accent?
Sometimes I can't understand the British accents.
Yeah, they do, because the American accent's all the same, but just with.
I don't know what I brought it up in a Doctor Who video at some point, and people tried to explain to me why it was. But I think there's just like some characters in Doctor Who that just have thicker accents. So when they talk really fast, I'm like, well, huh? What'd you say? I don't know. I'm going to smile and nod and pretend like I knew what you said. It was really funny. But because like I think when I brought it up, it was sometime in like season 3. It was really early on. And I'm like, I watch like Downton Abbey and I have no problem with that. And I think people were talking that was like more posh. I don't know. The
received pronunciation.
Yeah. But like every so often there'll just be like a really quick line. I remember it was like, I'm trying to remember like which characters really did that for me. But yeah, every so often there'll be like like if they just spit it out really quick, I'm like, I don't know what you just said.
What about you, Alex? You watch a lot of American shows.
I do watch a lot of American shows. I think it's getting more similar as time goes on, like in production and such, like especially with like music and stuff. Like Americans use a lot more music in their shows, I found. Like whereas British shows, you have like the staple show like Doctor Who and stuff that has obviously its own soundtrack and music and everything, but I think with a lot of British shows the music isn't always there, and I sometimes wish it was, because I think music really enhances scenes. So but I would say that there is a slight difference in production, but obviously there's going to be.
Yeah. Like well, the Night King said in regards to Torchwood, and it's difficult because obviously I know, Jess, you're reacting to it, so I'm not saying anything about it. But Alex, in terms of the difference between seasons in that, which I assume you would know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. That's like an example of. Do you think that's an example of when things don't go too right, when worlds collide? That's something I say nothing to, but that's just an example. You'll find out, Jess. But yeah, there's something. Sometimes things don't mix.
Sometimes things don't.
That's
work,
all I'll say.
But we can't say.
No, but yeah, Jess, I'm really enjoying your reaction. Again, like she's doing stuff that fucking like I've watched like 10 years ago, and I'm just like, I'm so glad that somebody's actually doing these reactions.
I mean, it took me long enough to get to Torchwood.
Like Torchwood was one I think everyone was sort of waiting. I mean, Sarah Jane Adventures fucking Elizabeth Slade. I'm not even religious, but there we go. But that, how did you enjoy? Because I did a class. You did class as well, didn't you? And I kind of only watched because I didn't really watch class. I watched the first episode and I wasn't a big fan of it. But I came back for your reaction to the end of episode 7 with the moment. And you literally, like, I had headphones in and I did think for a moment I had lost my hearing because it was like.
Yeah, I'm making my way through the spin-offs. I appreciate them all for what they are.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Doctor Who's got so many, like, you can appreciate them all for they're not all the same. It's not like you think, oh, this is trying to be Doctor Who, but on a different level. They're all like completely different. And I wonder, Jerry's bringing it back to Game of Thrones, whether that will be the case with Game of Thrones. Like, these spin-offs and things, they're not going to be Game of Thrones, but you've got to try and enjoy them and it's nice when you get those nods to stuff like in Episode Adventures or Torchwood, when you get the nods to Doctor Who, whatever. So I think it'll be the same with Game of Thrones, with the spin-offs on them. And one final thing, because this Torchwood Boy, Alex, George, can you ask Alex if he has watched Love Island and just look at his reaction?
Who put that?
The Night King. Chess, have you heard of Love Island?
Don't watch it, Jess.
It is the worst show that has ever come out of Britain.
Oh.
And it's
a reality TV show, isn't it?
Oh.
It's like Jersey Shore, but worse.
Imagine they're all trapped on an island together.
Yeah.
What?
I suppose that is what Jersey Shore is.
Yeah. and they're all, it's basically like they get coupled up and they all just can't, it's just weird. The ending, they either have to be in a couple, there's like a group of men and women that try to get together. And at the end, from what I've heard, because I don't watch it, is that they have to, at the end, they get asked, do they want to stay a couple or do they want to win money? So like they both go, so they both have to write down a piece of paper. Like, so the guy might go, I want to be with her. She might say, I want to be with him. And they go off. Or they both might say they want the money and then they split the money. Or one of them might say, I want the money. The other one says, I want to be with you. And then the person who says they want the money gets the money. It's very millennial, whatever decade we're in now. It's very 2019. But yeah, that's an example of a show that, imagine if you got like reactions to like stuff like that, like reality shows.
Asked me to react to some strange shows. Not
really,
not like bad shows, but like sometimes I'll get like, can you react to like certain like sitcoms and stuff?
Yeah.
Just
like Friends. Well, I suppose you've watched Friends
like that. I mean, I don't know. It's not really. Yeah, I don't know how well that would translate to reaction.
Yeah, I agree. I remember actually someone once, because I was saying I was watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and somebody said, will you react? And I'm like, I'm sit there and react to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, where every time I go, oh, they've got money. it's not going to be very exciting. Exactly. But it's a strange world. Right, guys, well, we've been doing this for just over 2 hours now, and it's just the afternoon for Jess, so she's probably got things to do. And for me and Alex is up at 6 a.m. Are you up at 6 a.m. tomorrow?
Yeah, it's for The Walking Dead. I have to yell at my TV for 4
are you both watching Fear the Walking Dead tonight?
Yeah.
I am officially on my break, so yeah.
Oh, so this is the last time, guys, you will see Jess for a while, so enjoy it and look at her beautiful face. She's going to chill out and relax. I have breaks, but they're just kind of like random and just like
last 2 years I've been on a break.
Yeah, literally. Now Game of Thrones is finished. Like, it'll be like, I'll put a video out at some point. Literally, like the entirety of my channel just gone to shit now that the show that I built it off is gone. I'm like, great. What do I do? I should have thought about this. I should have prepared and reacted to more videos. But Westworld's coming out next year.
Yeah, excited.
Which I'm really. Have you seen the trailer for that?
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Me too.
I'm interested. And there's lots of exciting TV coming up in the future, so I'm sure I'll find some of it. And yeah, somebody said also, George, the Discord server's gone down really well. I started Discord. I didn't even know what it was. Somebody told me to start one. Have you done this? It's really fun.
I did it. I did it, and now I don't think anyone's been in it for about 3 years, so it went well.
I started one, and to these older things here, we've started doing a role play in it. Oh my god, it's the best. So like we're creating our own, so it's set 100 years in the future, a century after Game of Thrones is finished, and there's a new king on the throne, and that's King George Alexander Targaryen. And basically the story is a little bit of a and basically so everyone's got like a couple of characters, and we kind of go line by line and like create this story, which is really fun. But I am the great grandson of Daenerys Targaryen, who went back to Volantis, and got brought back to life by Kinvara, because that is canon, guys. Okay, I'm making it official now. She gets brought back to life, and she lives her life out in Marine, just like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I'm getting too old for it. But she's pregnant with Jon's baby, so that's Kinvara says, oh, it's a good job that you got stabbed in the heart and you didn't affect the baby. And she's like, what? Anyway, this is in my mind. She has the baby.
George really likes that denial land that he lives in.
It's a beautiful place, and I'm fully like having it go on in this world, so that's why it's still very thriving.
It's real to you.
Exactly. And then basically she died. She had 2 kids. They got married. They had 2 kids, which was one of them was me. And then I had 2 kids. My wife died in childbirth, and then once my wife died, I flew over, and Daenerys, I flew over to Westeros to defeat Bran from the and the Long Night, because the official Long Night, guys, is Bran being the king on the throne, not the one we've seen. Sansa died, she's had kids, and yeah, so now I'm on the throne, and it's great, guys. So feel free to pop along if you.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a brand new series. This is the new spin-off series that HBO have picked up.
Yeah.
It's official. So. But that's how I'm carrying on my Game of Thrones life through creating my own version.
That's good.
Thank you very much. But okay, guys, thank you to everyone that joined us here today. It's been lovely. There's been a lot of really interesting points that have come out, and I've really actually enjoyed having a conversation, because there's no point in having a conversation where it's just one-sided. So it's really interesting to get everyone's different thoughts on it, and it's been brilliant. So thank you very much to the wonderful Torchwood Boy and Sesskasays for joining me tonight. Didn't have to, but they
Thank you for having us.
Honored.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been wonderful, and so everyone who's listened and stayed through for the last almost 2.5 hours, well done. We applaud you, because we kind of went off on a few tangents, but managed to bring it back to Game of Thrones towards the end. But, you know, that's what you're going to get. So thank you very much for watching. And yeah, as always, until next time, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.